Welcome to Hockey Night in Australia, everyone. I'm your host, Sean O'Connor, and tonight I am joined by Courtney Kynaston. Welcome back, Courtney.
Good to be back, and quick shout out to Banners on the Wall, Anthony. Appreciate you jumping in for me last week.
Yep, what a champion. And tonight our special guest is Eric Brook. Welcome back, Eric.
Hello, Sean. G'day, Courtney. Great to be with you live. I wasn't able to be live with you last week because I was preparing for my own game at Macquarie.
Yes, that's right. And that really is a great segue into our first topic this week. We have the new Mac. I'm just going to pull up a good picture here of it absolutely packed out. Eric, you were there firsthand. How did you find the experience of the new Macquarie ice rink?
Well, you'd probably be able to see me if you zoomed in really close on the on that top photo there, Sean. It was fantastic.
You were down here,
yeah? Everyone has mentioned how there was a lot of pain last year with the Ice Dogs and the Bears being unable to play. All the players going to every point of the compass in the country, and the vast majority of them coming back. Of course, there was a massive flow down effect as well because it just wasn't the AI that was affected. The A-Dub was affected. Ice Hockey New South Wales competitions were affected, social leagues, and also general skating, figure skating, etc. So the whole ice sports community in Sydney was affected. And to come back, people such as Ice Dogs coach Jason Quizzle had constantly said that the pain's going to be worth it. He actually had counted down the days since the Ice Dogs had last played. Oliver Walker-Peel mentioned it in commentary. It was something like 614 days between Ice Dogs playing at Macquarie at the end of 2024 and that night, and the Bears was one additional day for their home opener the following night. That's a long time when you think about it, isn't it? 614 days. And that's not even including the last time that the Ice Dogs beat the Bears anywhere.
Yes, we do have that in days as well, which is kind of an amazing stat. We'll get onto that in a little bit. But what was it like being in the commentary box, like right next to the play, as opposed to being further back as you were previously? Or
now, if you could pull up those graphics again for me, please, Sean.
Sure.
Where I was located was at the red line, as you say, between the player benches. Where I used to broadcast when I did radio broadcasts from Macquarie was behind the big screen that's at the grandstand at the end where all the glass is, and I was basically had a head-on view. This view, I had a fantastic view from centre ice. The corners are a little bit difficult. Skate High corner and Zamboni corner are a little bit difficult, especially when someone like Strud Allen or Grant Toolman is immediately next to you. I was closest to the Ice Dogs bench. So when Grant Toolman or Strud Allen was standing next to me, I'm probably 5'8", 5'9". Both of those guys without skates are like, what, 6'5"?
Yeah.
And we'll talk about one of those incidents a little bit later, where I'm lucky that not only do we have the Jumbotron at centre ice to look at, but we also have a laptop which shows us what's going out onto AIHL.tv, and there's a little bit of a delay there, so we can see as well. And in addition to the replays, we can see what's going on. But the absolute atmosphere, being between both benches, there were some penalties there where all of the players on one particular bench would go up and complain about there not being a penalty. The other team wouldn't. You've got fans from both teams on the Saturday night and the Bears fans on Saturday night. The glass just adds so much to Macquarie. I know, Court, because you play the game as well, how different it is playing in a venue that's got netting like Macquarie used to compared to glass now. Totally different atmosphere, even though, of course, it's basically the same rink. There were some upgrades to seats, etc., but there wasn't really much capacity added. But just having that glass, rebuilt ice surface, etc., fantastic.
That's awesome. And Courtney, how did you find the game? Did you get a chance to watch the game live or on replay?
I did. I I had it on in the background, and it looked pretty fantastic through the stream. And the cameras are always in such a good position where you've got a really nice angle down. The glass looked good, the crowd looked good, the stands look good. So yeah, I just be interesting to see it. It's a whole different experience when you're physically in there live. But via the stream, it looked pretty impressive. So comments on throughout different socials posts seem to be that a lot of people had a great time, that they loved it. So all very good things for the AIHL.
100%. I'll get onto a couple of comments before we continue. Got Doogie here. Let's get the show on the road. It's on, mate. It's on. Might have been a minute late, but it's all good. And
we missed you last week, Doogie.
Yes.
That could have been Doogie in the central commentary position alongside Ollie, but I filled in for him.
Yeah, you did. And I'm sure no matter whoever stands or sits there, they're going to get a great view to be able to commentate, and they're going to get a good call.
Let me assure you, Sean, there was no sitting.
I know. I saw some photos of you guys constantly standing. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, you're right there. You're in the moment. You just, get into it. Anyway, Jessica. Hi, everyone. Hi, Jessica. Hope you're all going well.
Hang on.
Anyway, only disappointing thing for me was that the corners on the live stream, the glass, it takes away sight lines. Camera spot needs elevating. Look, I would agree. It was very hard to see those two front corners, although you were saying it was pretty hard right next to the glass as well. I was surprised. I was actually asked after the game what I actually thought of the camera angle, and I went, "Oh, it looks lower than it did last year." Only to be told, no, it's definitely in the same position as it was last year.
Yeah, exactly
the glass just makes it look different. But yeah, overall though, it was great.
Sorry, Sean, just on that, as you said, because I know you and I were having that discussion off air in relation to the camera position relative to 2024. The two cameras there, were in exactly the same position as they were in 2014. But as you say, it's the glass that's there. And one thing that they did have there that they may not have necessarily had in 2024 was that there was a lot of corporate people between what was the Bears bench and skate higher corner. There was a lot of corporate people which may or may not have been there in 2014.
True.
There's no, if we want to shoot from that side, there's no real alternative which wouldn't mean obstructing more people's views than what we already do.
Yeah,
because we basically can't go any higher. Then we're at the risk if we go too high in the grandstand, we can lose the bottom of the frame altogether.
Yeah.
So
overall,
there's a bit of pain in the corners. Yes, I understand that, and even from looking at it from where I was standing, those corners are hard too. But having said that, at somewhere like the Hunter Ice Skating Stadium or Erina, the two venues that I've got most recent experience at, those corners can be difficult as well.
Yeah. I think there's always issues like this, no matter which arena you're in. They've all got their own quirks. Anyway, I wanted to get on to the actual game itself. It was a 4-2 victory to the Ice Dogs over the Bears. A big upset to start the season. What did you guys make of the actual game and the play?
Courtney? Look, I want to jump straight to Dmitry Kuleshov. He is phenomenal, and I don't think there would be a single, particularly Ice Dogs fan out there, that doesn't love him. Every year he goes from strength to strength. We watched him last year on the Rhinos, so he got to maintain his momentum forward in hockey, which I think was incredibly valuable. And he stood out in that game for me personally. I think honestly, if any Ice Dogs game I watch, I notice him. So, when you've got a young player like that that's come up through the Ice Hockey New South Wales junior leagues, he's getting great ice time, great experience with players like Tillman and Allen and all of those players that surround him, he's just going to get better and better.
Yeah, nice. And Eric, what about you?
Oh, there was lots to like. The Ice Dogs came out to a really good start. The Bears did start slow, but they could only go as fast as the Ice Dogs let them go, and it took the Bears quite some time to get into the game. One of the things that I noticed, Courtney was talking about Dmitry Kuleshov, and there was a interesting situation with a lot of these teams where you didn't really know who was playing for who until basically the day of or the day before. I'm lucky because of being in commentary. I get team lists, etc., slightly before they are necessarily made public for somewhat obvious reasons. But there wasn't a lot of talk about where are the Kuleshov brothers going, because Ivan came back as well. Thomas Lander, for instance, came back from the Rhinos to the Bears. Ryan Ainsley came back from the North Stars. Tyrone Oxlade came back from the North Stars. So I basically, for each team where I do their team sheets, there was basically a page that I called the Macquarie effect. And so I tracked, okay, in 2024, these players were here. Where did they go in 2025, and where did they come back to? And the majority of them came back to the respective team. Lots of good individual performances. The Ice Dogs have really made an effort to, Sean and Courtney, to strengthen their back end.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. In fact, there was one particular player that both you and Ollie kept calling out through the game, who I was super impressed with, and that was Shane Hanna.
Shane Hanna, yeah.
Who's come in from Germany, exceedingly good. He was everywhere.
He was actually a game time decision. I was having a chat with a Ice Dogs fan on Ice Dogs social media a little bit earlier today. They made mention that Shane Hanna didn't have his name played on the back of his jersey, and that's very common at this time of the year, where signings may be made late, etc. Shane Hanna was actually a game time decision, because we had to wait for confirmation if he had his international transfer card available. So what that basically means, for anyone who doesn't know, it's like, in a way, if you think of it like a car, you transfer your registration from one owner to the other. So Shane Hanna's previous team in Germany would have had to sign his release to say it's okay for Shane to leave, and then that goes across to the Ice Dogs, who accept him. And because it's international, so you're going from international club to the Hockey Federation in the departure country, then you're going through to Ice Hockey Australia, who goes back to the club, in this case the Ice Dogs. And there have been occasions before where the ITC, the International Transfer Card, which enables the player to play as an import in the AI, if they don't have that ITC, they can't play. They're an ineligible player.
The amount of times we've seen in the past where you see a player who literally has arrived, but that clearance hasn't occurred yet, so therefore they have to basically be in the grandstand the first game.
Absolutely. So, and if his ITC didn't come through and he played, well, that would have been an illegal player.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so we've got a few more people here who've joined in. Mark, g'day. How's it going? And our very own Phil Taylor. Evening, Phil. Mark says he agrees with the Kuleshovs are great, and they really are. I mean, Demi was fantastic in that game. But also, I really wanted to give a good shout out to, is it Young An, the Korean player that they've picked up? He was
fantastic.
Good. And again, Ryo Murakami, their new goaltender, 22-year-old Japanese goaltender who's never played in Japan, but has played in North America and Finland. Really, really excellent saves he made in that game. I was very impressed.
It's an interesting one, Sean, in relation to the Ice Dogs goalie situation this year. They've got the Japanese goalie that you've mentioned, and then there was the announcement of the signing of Ryan Burrows, who, if you look on eliteprospects.com, which is where I get a lot of my information from, he's listed as Canadian. So I was thinking, why are the Ice Dogs getting a import goalie from Japan and an import goalie from Canada? It doesn't make sense. A lot of teams in this league, they do get one import goalie, and then they use their local goalie regardless of their ability to back up, and that's fine. But 2 import goalies, I thought that was a bit strange. So Oliver Walker-Peel, my co-commentator on that night, whose notes and game prep makes me look like an absolute amateur, he says to me, "Oh, mate, by the way, did you know that Ryan Burrows is actually dual citizen? So he's Canadian and Australian, so that means that he's not an import." So for confirmation, we went to the best possible source in the building, Gabe Robledo, who knows every goalie in the country, one of the assistant coaches for the Ice Dogs this year. I never thought that he'd go to the other side of the road, but he has, after being known as being with the Bears for years. But Gabe was able to confirm, yes, he counts as a local. So there's no 2 import goalie situation for the Ice Dogs, despite what elite prospects might tell us.
Yeah, I personally preseason asked Jason whether he was a local, and he confirmed that he was. And then I also confirmed it with Brian himself. I asked him if he was a dual citizen, and he said yep. So that's good. It's good, and they're both young. Like, because Brian is like 19, and then Raya is like 22. So they've got a very young goaltender lineup this season. Should be good. Early days. I did want to bring up another couple of comments.
Hi, Jared. I want to shout out Jared because he's wonderful. He's someone I met at finals with other North Stars fans. He has moved to Canada because I want to shout out the fact that he's 14 hours behind. So I think it's about like 3 or 4 a.m. and he's watching live instead of listening to the replay. So, hey.
What a champion.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us, Jared. And then we've got Parker here. Good evening, everyone. Parker, it's always good to see you. Network Hockey. What champs they are down in Melbourne. And another person, Corey Katina, from very far away. G'day, Corey. I hope everything's going well for you tonight too.
And very high up.
Is he in a plane?
I imagine
He'd have to be at 37,000 feet.
I imagine he must be, because he was here at this for the first weekend, and I think he was heading back to the United States after that. Wow. So
what an effort.
What a champion.
Remember when you couldn't get the internet on planes?
Oh, yep. Yeah. Amazing how different our world can be sometimes, right? The advances that we make. So I wanted to finish... actually, no. Before we finish up, we got to talk about probably the most talked about point from that first game, which was the Toolman goal. I really do want to show the goal, so just give me a sec and I'll bring it up.
Dogs get it out of there. They might have another rush on here. Grant Toolman is in alone and onside. He whips it on net and scores. Short-handed on the rush. The Dogs, they're in front with negligible seconds. In this second period, they lead 3-2.
All right, so that's the goal, everyone. There's a lot of people that believe that this was offside, and it was a hot topic this week. There was a screen capture that Courtney sent me after the game that I really wanted to bring up, and that's this one. Now, it looks like he's onside, right?
Yes.
Eric?
Yeah.
Well, he's entered the zone before the puck has. Look at his right skate.
But the way that the offside rule works, and it's 3D these days, and that happened a few years ago. His back foot is still on the blue line, and even if it was in the air and over the blue line, he's still onside. So he's not actually fully in the zone yet because there is still an entire skate on the blue. The puck's on the blue. So that now considers they are both in the zone.
So I'm going to exaggerate here for comedy purposes. Grant Toolman's 7'25", and his right foot could be near the hash mark But as long as his back foot is behind the line court, you're saying that's cool.
Correct.
And as I said, slight exaggeration for comedy purposes.
No, that is spot on. So as long as that back foot maintains some semblance of, even if the line's here and his skate is here and in the air, he is still technically onside, because the rule is that you picture it like a 3D wall going up that piece of the ice. As long as it's touching, he's all good. And I think Ollie reacted to the linesman waving it clear, and honestly, the linesman was spot on.
So just a couple of things on that. There was a little bit going on there. It was coming up to the end of the power play, and one of the debates was it an even strength goal? Was it a shorthanded goal? There were seconds remaining before the end of the period. There was the offside, and what I did is, when it looked like that he was going to enter the blue line, because I knew that I might have some problems with visibility, I actually stepped back, which would have been the time that he was actually crossing the line, to look at the screen that's in front of me. So I've actually stepped back, and then by the time I focused on the screen, he's well and truly inside the ozone.
Interesting. Anyway, I think it's definitely a moment that is going to continue to be well debated. But
we've learned something, Sean. Every day is a school day at Oz Hockey Media.
I know, right?
We try.
But anyway, it was a great goal. It was a great moment. I'm sure Grant Toulmin will always say that he was onside, and there will be others that will say he wasn't. But yeah, I just thought that was an interesting image that we got, and yeah. It was big. I think it was only like 5 seconds left to go in that period, and then the Ice Dogs were able to get an empty net power play goal right at the end to finish it off. But yeah, it was a very close game. But the win did magically give them their first derby victory in, I think it was over 2,700 days since 2018. It's a pretty massive stretch to go without a win over your local rival. But, fair play to them. They played so well. I did give a prediction before the game that the Ice Dogs would win, so I'm quite happy about that. But that was based mainly on vibes. But I do think that possibly something that probably played into it was the fact that the Ice Dogs were starting with a very set a way of playing under Jason. They've been playing under Jason for quite a while the Bears had a brand new coach who was just announced, I think, hours before the actual game. And probably didn't have that, I guess, cohesion yet.
Just on that, Sean, I can expand on that, because I actually spoke to the coach during that game. Now, that game was played on Friday night. On Monday, before Friday, he's arrived in Australia. So he arrived on Monday. He's had a couple of the training sessions with the Bears. He said, to his credit, on Bears social media, that he was looking for a challenge. He's from Finland. Yeah. And he's looking for a challenge. He doesn't know the Australian hockey culture. He doesn't know the Australian culture, and is looking to expand himself and have a good time and learn both of those cultures. So just imagine arriving from a very different European country and hockey to what you're used to at the start of the week. By the end of the working week, you're in the first game of the season at what is essentially a brand new rink with your crosstown rivals. Neither team has played there for well over 600 days. There were no exhibition games played at Macquarie beforehand. The Ice Dogs did have one game in Erin against the Rhinos. The Bears didn't have any. And I spoke to him again on Saturday before the Bears home opener against the Lightning, and he said that he really enjoyed the coverage and he really, really enjoyed the nights. That was a great first impression for him.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. So we've got a couple more comments here. Jared, Always for you guys, superstars. Yeah, 4:20 a.m. Well, man, that's some dedication. Corey Katita, can't tell from that pick because the puck isn't in the zone yet either. I think the blue line counts as part of the zone, right?
Yeah. It was
That's
fully
my
on the blue line. Yeah.
Yeah, it has to cross the threshold. Anyway,
It makes a nice change being able to see the blue lines at Macquarie.
it does. It's fantastic. We got Anthony Russell here. Banners on the wall. How dare you replace me with more qualified and intelligent people? Sorry, Anthony. You know, you got to make the cut next year, mate. You got to make the cut. Play earlier. We got Mark here. As an aside, you've probably talked about the North Stars already, but I just wanted to say that Brian is a very naughty boy. Well, yes,
we haven't got that far yet.
We will be on to the North Stars soon. Stay tuned.
So anyway, well, I think it's that brings us time to move on to the next topic that we wanted to talk about, which was the Perth-Canberra series over in Perth. There was one major talking point from this, I think, and that was the shootout shenanigans. Did you guys catch the series at all? Did you catch what happened with the shootout?
I happened to jump over, so they must have already taken their first 3 rounds. So I jumped in thinking, oh, it's still live, so something's going on. It's, you know, when it's gone to shootout, thinking I would see a couple of shots, just to spend 10 minutes watching the refs talking.
Yeah.
So I was just in time for the shenanigans.
It was unusual to see. So if in case anyone who didn't get to see this, both teams had taken 3 shots. There was 1 goal scored. The Perth players, some of the Perth players started celebrating, and then all of a sudden we're told to stop. And then discussions ensued, and it kept going. I personally was at the pub at Caribou, Kingston, watching the game with a whole bunch of other people, and none of us knew what was going on. It was quite. It was quite funny to watch, and in the end, there's a little bit of embarrassment there. But I much prefer that they are a little bit embarrassing in getting it, but actually get the right answer at the time, and so we actually get the right result rather than, heading home and then afterwards finding out that the game has to be scratched because they've not done the right thing. What do you guys think?
My understanding of the rule is it's the best of 3 rounds. So I think the result was correct in the end. So, it would be interesting. I don't know, would they scratch a game?
Well, it happened in the A-Dub, I believe, that they used the wrong overtime procedures in one of the Inferno games. Oh. And they ended up having to just split the points.
Oh, I don't remember that, and I really should.
That did happen. That did happen several years ago. There was an incident where there was a lot of confusion, and we had the KO Sports game of the week as it was then in the A-Dub, and there was a lot of confusion. So there had to be some post-production done for that because it was only highlights. It wasn't the live stream on that particular occasion for that particular program. But what can happen is that sometimes there is confusion between if the competition is 3 rounds or if it's 5 rounds, and that's obviously what's happened on this occasion.
Yeah, and I've heard that argument before as well, like, people being unsure if it is best of 5 or best of 3. But yeah, it's definitely best of 3, and they got that confirmation. And right after that, so after 10 minutes wait, the Perth players were able to celebrate again. And it was a good thing they did get their confirmation, because on the Sunday they went back to a shootout again to decide the game. Quite an amazing weekend. Very even, the 2 teams. Although very different kind of games. On Saturday, you had both teams scoring one after each other, constantly throughout the entire game. And then on Sunday, you had the Brave take a 3-0 lead, and then Perth come back and score 3 unanswered goals to draw level and send it to overtime. So, yeah, different kinds of games with the same kind of result, and both teams getting a win.
I regard Perth and Canberra as to be being in the top of the AIHL. I think they are two of the stronger teams that exist. And so the fact that both games went all the way to shootout, I think emphasizes that. So I'll be very interested to see what Canberra look like against Newcastle this weekend, what Perth look like against in their next game. Just see how are they matching up against the other teams as well. Is this just a really competitive game between the two of them because of who those two teams are, or was it just a round one kind of luck of the draw? So no, but I think across the weekend, we've watched the Bears and the Dogs have a solid game. Perth and Canberra have solid games. I think we're in for a pretty big season if round one is anything to go by.
Totally agree.
It's really strange when you think about it, because one game it was this way in a shootout, and then also in a shootout the other way. So ultimately, they really split the points down the middle with one overtime loss and one overtime win and one overtime loss at the same time. You really don't know at this start of the season what you're going to get. One of the reasons why Canberra were in Perth so early is because the venue behind Sean there is in the middle of being rebuilt for this current season at AIS. So Canberra's on the road at the moment with the double in Perth, and as we mentioned, they'll be playing in Newcastle tomorrow. But that will also mean that they'll have a lot of home games together because they've been on the road while the ice surface is being rebuilt.
Yeah, I think the Canberra schedule for July, June, and May is quite insane. Because they've also got a very light July, because there's going to be possible other series occurring at some stage in July. I do want to give a shout out
for that one. Tickets are on sale for that one, so I think, or it's definitely been announced.
I have no idea yet.
It's definitely been announced.
Oh, okay, great. Yep, the Ice Hockey Classic. Yep.
Starting in Hobart, and then to Melbourne, and then to Canberra. Even if tickets aren't on sale for Canberra, it's been announced.
Oh, great. I wasn't sure yet. There you go. So that will be coming along too. I did want to give a quick shout out to Cam Marks. He had a great weekend, and he had a very unusual celly for his goal that he scored on the Sunday. It was his 50th point in the AIHL, and he decided to do this celebration, and I had no idea what it meant. And then I asked him about it, and he said that it was basically a homage to another import, former Brave import, Vance from 2023, I think it was, 22. I can't remember which year it was, but Carson Vance, who also did the same celebration, and it was based off the movie Easy A, and a character of that very strange thing, but a bit of an inside joke, and I really wanted to know what it was, and I'm glad that he was able to let me in on that. But that's very unusual. It's amazing what players get up to. So we can now move on to, I think, the North Stars versus the Ice. I think that's probably the next destination that we should head to.
Big game. It was
sorry. Just on that, Sean. I don't know if you want to go to Adelaide first and match the journey that the North Stars took Saturday in Adelaide and Sunday in Melbourne. I don't know if you want to go that way.
Yeah, well, they weren't the only team that had big travel weekends. The Central Coast also had a big travel weekend, both in Melbourne and then back at Arena the next day. We will touch onto them soon. The North Stars, it was a big weekend. They did get a good win in Adelaide, although Adelaide did fight pretty hard in that game. It was not easy. Courtney, did you watch that game at all?
Yeah.
She commentated on it.
I was on both. Yeah, look, Adelaide looked fantastic. There was nothing I could like. Well, I was commentating it, so I was definitely watching. And yeah, look, Adelaide have a few things to fix. So like their power play structure wasn't great, especially North Stars made some errors and had a 5-on-3 penalty kill. So when Adelaide's coming in 5-on-3, they should be getting a goal in that moment, and it was a 5-minute penalty as well. So there's just a few things there that I think they can tidy up, but really for the other 90% of the game, they looked strong. They made it hard for the North Stars. There was a lot of work had to be done, and a lot of the goals were just a bit scrappy. The first one most of all, I think Josh Adkins is probably still feeling the pain of that one being an own goal. But Newcastle stepped up and then had about 3 minutes to leave the rink to make flights to Melbourne.
Right. That's quite a quick turnaround. The game did look a bit scrappy, which is, very typical for the start of a brand new season. Players still arriving and getting used to each other. And but yeah, it was a pretty good game. Newcastle did look good. It did seem like Newcastle would probably win that game for the majority of the time. But yeah. Adelaide did fight back, and I'm sure that they will be equally competitive throughout the season and get quite a few wins this year, I think. Just got to get those imports used to how they play. Yeah.
And look, the game against the Ice was just, it felt intense. Like Newcastle had a bit of a lead, and then Melbourne Ice did what they do, and they caught up and made it really competitive. And look, for me, yes, I am a North Stars fan, and I like an easy win, but I like exciting hockey. So, they're having them come back and equalize and have to fight for those goals and to get that win, I thought made it really interesting and a lot more fun to watch.
Yeah, Eric, did you get a chance to watch the game?
Interesting you talk about the North Stars, and one of the big things which is going to be different for the North Stars this year is obviously the departure of Charlie Smart to Perth and Matthias Trinker, who recently played for the Adrenaline, then he went north to the Lightning, and then now he's in Newcastle. And this will be a really big year for him, and also for Jacob Dornbus, who I got to speak to after the Lightning game against the Bears. He has a really good chance, Matthias, to call that net his own. Last year he was fighting. It was more of a 1A 1B situation with Dornbus in Brisbane. In Adelaide, it could have been a 1A 1B situation before, or he's been up against an import. So this season for both goalies, they are really trying to cement that 1A situation for themselves. It was a great game. It was good to see that from a North Stars point of view, their new imports. Courtney, you would have been impressed by their new imports alongside Francis Drolet, who of course has been an import forever. But yeah, having two new imports slot in from different parts of the world, slotting quite nicely there from game one was good. And I was also asking you a question in relation to OT. When I was looking back at the box score to refresh my memory for tonight and also to do my team list for the weekend, it didn't have any time in OT for Trinker. So instead of a 60-minute game, I was expecting, maybe it was 62 or 61 or 63, but there was no extra time added. But my colleague and commentary partner, Pete Lambert, reminded me that it didn't even take a minute for Francis Drolet to dance in and undress Tom Forrest. Seconds? Something like 17 seconds.
Yeah, I think it was 4:47, so it's about 13 seconds. Oh, yeah. They took the face off, moved the puck, and he took the shot, and we got the win. So
it was a whirlwind OT, that's for sure. But that's not unusual for the Ice as well. So interesting enough, last year the Ice were really dominant in regulation periods, but then when it got to OT, they lost more often than they won, and it was often quick. So it was interesting to see that occur again. just as you touched on a point before as well, Eric, about the ice sort of coming back into this one, and that's something I noticed as well. It's something which was a hallmark of their season last year, was their ability to be able to claw back into games, late into games in third periods, and draw level or win in the third period. And they did that again here, but then they lost an OT. That happens. But yeah, one player that really stood out for me for the Melbourne Ice in this game was Jed Lake. The youngster really stood up. He scored a goal. He was everywhere. And I was thoroughly impressed by the young guy. I did talk to an Ice fan after the game, and he was saying, yep, that's the future of the franchise right there. And it's a big call for someone who's so young, but he's really showing a lot of maturity, I thought, in this match.
Look, you said Jed Lake, didn't you? That's who we're on to. Yes. Look, Jed Lake is someone I remember watching. Eric, we were talking off air about the national tournaments held in Newcastle a couple of years ago, and he was one of those kids that I noticed. So back probably, I think it was 2022 or 23 that we hosted that. So a couple of years ago. And yeah, he's just someone that every time his name pops up over the last sort of 2-3 seasons, he just keeps getting better and better. And you know, the in this game was absolutely that occasion. He stepped up in some crucial moments, you know, calm, cool, collected, gets the goals, gets the points where they matter. And I just think he's one of those kids like Dmitry Kuleshov who are just going to keep rising in this league and are really that next generation of talent that we've got to get through for this league to keep going. When a lot of teams are getting older and you know, the age bracket's changing, while they're still more than capable of playing, you've got to get those young guys through and get that ice time up in order to, you know, have a sustainable league.
Yeah, I noticed Canberra as well. They played Noah Harvey quite a bit in their games as well on the weekend, which is great to see, you know, again. And Tom Harrow, like, these are youngsters which, need more game time, and it's good to see them getting their opportunity.
So it was 2024 that you were thinking of, Courtney. Next to me on my whiteboard, I've got a copy of my commentary schedule for that 10-day period where we had both Ice Hockey Australia games, 4 tournaments in one, plus AI games, and it was 53 games that I commentated on, plus games that I didn't commentate on in that 10-day period. Jed Lake and Cy Lake, his brother, his brother's a lot smaller, a lot different player, but you're both absolutely right. The Melbourne Ice and the Melbourne Mustangs, for that matter, have been putting in a lot of effort in relation to developing their juniors, and have got more of a pathway than has existed in the past to work up from Ice Hockey Victoria to come into either the Ice or the Mustang systems now. And of course, we know that people alternate from one end of the hallway to the other. Jamie Burke and Joey Hughes and a lot of other examples that have gone backwards and forwards over the time. I still don't know what a craft coach is for the Mustangs, but we might find that out at some stage. Matt Armstrong was announced as their craft coach, and I was wondering what that was. But yeah, they have put a lot of development in both teams, because in especially the Ice's case, you can only bring back players such as Liam Webster, such as Todd Graham, who come back after a couple of years off in Finland, etc. And of course, you've got people like even Matt Caruana, the captain, who's Sean, late 20s, early 30s?
Late 20s, yeah, I think late 20s.
So you need a generation behind people like Mac to come up, and Jed Lake is one of those type of players. Yeah.
It is good to see. I did want to touch on a few of these comments before we go on. Mark, a real nail biter, ice, but very satisfying. Yeah, it was a great game. And CSG, huge Sunday game against the Ice. It was on the edge of my chair. It was such an edge of the chair kind of game. It was great. And we've got one and only Annan Oberai Matheson, any tips on being me? Asking for a friend.
Stop the puck from going in the back of the net.
And then Mark, again, my money is on how do you pronounce his name?
Harala.
Putting a puck through the net very soon. He was super on his first weekend in the AI. Yeah. What did you guys make of him?
I think he's fantastic. He had landed, I think, either the day before, either the Friday or the Saturday when they played against Rhinos on Sunday in the preseason exhibition game at Newcastle, and just fast hands, fast feet, very agile, very quick, and I'm fairly sure it was 5 goals and 4 assists across the weekend. So 2 games and 9 points is one heck of a way to start the season.
Yeah, it did put him at the top of the pops when it came to the scoring charts at the end of the first round. So very impressive
this week.
So the only category that he's not leading in is penalty minutes.
That's okay. I'm pretty sure when it comes to an import, you don't want them to be leading the penalty minutes.
There were certainly a lot of penalty minutes to be handed out in that particular game.
There were lots of penalty minutes. So, I mean, for instance, one of those was Brian Funes, who got sent, wasn't it? He got sent, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, suspensions came back today. Got a 2-game suspension for that headbutt. It was an unusual incident. I don't really recall too many headbutts happening in the AIHL. Another case of someone, just sort of snapping and losing their mind a bit. What did you guys think? It wasn't the only one. And we'll get on to the other one soon.
It was definitely a headbutt, Sean. You can't argue.
I agree. There was definitely movement.
No other way to describe it. He probably, to use a hockey term where we're talking about taking a shot at goal and putting pucks through nets, wasn't the hardest headbutt known to man, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah,
that's right. Just the act of doing it.
It's the same in soccer, right? You see it in soccer all the time. They don't make a lot of actual heavy contact with it, but it's the movement. It's the act of doing it. So he sort of seemed to accept his punishment, and he'll be out for a couple of games, but then he'll be back.
A funny thing, sorry, Sean. A funny thing about that was he went back to the bench while all this was going on, because there was a little bit going on while all that was going on, and he went back to the bench, not necessarily to the penalty box. Then he heard the announcement that he was being ejected, so he just went back to the dressing room from there.
I think he kind of expected it to occur. That's why he went that way, not to the penalty boxes on the other side of the ice.
Yeah.
But it was okay. Phil, on this stage, Mustangs had 5 players under 21 on the ice for shifts, which is phenomenal. Touching back onto the youngsters. And then, we got a couple of comments here from Steve Smith in Brian's defense. He was wearing a goat nose strip. Maybe he identifies as a goat. I don't think he's going to get away with that, and I don't think he was planning to. And, Mark saying, I think...
I was wondering what that was.
Brian's skin. Look, I mean, Burke gets under a lot of people's skin on the ice.
I mean, he's the Darcy Flanagan of Melbourne Ice, right?
He plays that role, and he plays it to a T. And last year, not only did he play that to a T, he also scored a boatload of goals and points. He's a very effective player for the Melbourne Ice in the role that he plays.
And that was one of the things that Michael Goff was saying in commentary during that game, is that he's the sort of person that you want on his team. You don't want to play against him. But there's also a fine line between getting up to that line and being a pest, and then going over that line and riding the pine for 2 minutes or more.
Yeah. And I think this brings us nicely into suspensions. So obviously there's one other incident that we haven't talked about yet, and that was the Pansino incident. It's a really interesting moment in the game, mainly because it kind of happened without myself when I was watching the game, without me fully realizing what was occurring. And then when you watch it back, it's interesting because it's not like it's massive contact that is made with the referee or the attempted contact with the linesman beforehand, but it's the fact that it was very purposeful. And it's interesting. I'll bring up the clip for anyone who hasn't been able to watch it yet, and then we can then talk about the actual suspension that's been handed down.
And Drollo left it behind. We've got a whistle, and Pansino played that puck late. And he's given a penalty away.
So that's it there. It's quite quick. What did you guys make of the actual incident itself and then the penalty? So the penalty, for anyone who doesn't know yet, he's received 20 games plus the 10 games suspended, which is suspended over 2 years, this year and next year. So he's got to be on his best behavior now. But and then he received an additional two games for another incident just before that. What did you guys feel about that?
I'm going to jump straight in. I think the tribunal, like the people that had to make these decisions, have made the right decision to set the bar and really make an example of this player from the get-go. And look, I've seen this in numerous comments since the suspensions were released. It's like, at the end of the day, you don't touch a ref. It's just not on. You don't do it. So not only has he shot the puck after the whistle, and it looks like it hits the linesman, like they flinch and move, and it looks like it might have clocked him in the leg. I don't know for sure, but it looks like it. And then to skate past the ref with the armbands and clip him, both of those things could have been avoided. Both of those things, as the moment the whistle went, he could have just skated over the puck and skated away, but instead he's made an active decision to make contact. So really, I think to sit 22 games and then also he can't get an abusive official penalty in the next, like between now and December of 2027, otherwise he'll get a 10-game automatic, I think is a really powerful message to every player in this league that you don't touch a ref, don't fire a puck at a ref, don't abuse the refs, or you will suffer a punishment. If this had turned around and been 2 games just for the abusive official, players out there are going to go, I hate this ref. He's making bad calls. I'll sit 2 games because if I can clock him and I'm only going to get 2 games, that's cool. Whereas he's basically sitting out most of the year. That's going to really have an impact on his season and his game and his ability to play. So I think this has been a good decision.
Yeah, I must admit it's interesting because I know Pansino, it isn't in his normal character, so it was kind of an out of character kind of moment. So that does happen, but yeah, I tend to agree with the philosophy that you need to make an example out of this to make sure that no one else does this or does anything similar to this. You can't touch a referee no matter how angry you might be at the moment. And it's interesting in comparison. We did see another suspension today, which was an abuse of an official, wasn't physical abuse, and that received 3 games. That was Hayden Dawes of the Mustangs. So that kind of shows you the comparison where what it normally is for an abusive official compared to this.
Yeah.
Eric, what did you think?
He just seemed to not have a great game, Pansino. Like I want to mention too, on top of this, he's also getting suspension for a check to the head that happened in period 1. If you see the clip, it's around 15 minutes in the period. He comes from the other side of the ice when a player's taking a shot on net from the blue line. So he's blindsided, can't see this guy coming, and gets clipped in the head. So now I am not sure what what the North Stars players' condition is, but, can make assumptions that there's probably concussion, there's probably some injury there. It's just really silly behaviour, and I think he's had to learn it the hard way.
Yeah. Eric, what's your thoughts?
I haven't had a chance to really look at the incident or the lead up, but I'll just expand on what Courtney said in relation to the length of the suspension. For anyone who doesn't know, now that we've got our 10 teams back in the AI this season, every team has 30 games that they play in the regular season. This was game number 1 for the Melbourne Ice, so he won't be able to come back, as we mentioned, for the 20 games. So that's pretty much, and it depends on how the Ice go between now and then. That's possibly his season.
Yeah,
and rightfully so. As we mentioned, physical abuse of an official has no role in this game, and it doesn't matter if your name's Christian Pansino, who normally doesn't do that sort of thing, doesn't get involved in it, or even if he does, it doesn't matter. Even if it's someone like Jamie Burke, Hunter Ellen, whoever it is, Darcy Flanagan, whoever the person is, shouldn't come and account for the sentence. Oh, so and so had a brain snap. So and so doesn't normally do this. It doesn't matter. It's just the action and the result of the action, and we can't have open day on a physical abuse of officials.
Agreed. Says abuse is abuse.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. So anyway, that was the massive talking point for this afternoon, which was that came out. I did want to touch on a point that the AIHL has actually allowing us to actually announce, which is interesting. The league is currently actively trying to change their rules regarding their suspension announcements so that they can actually publish player names, not just the numbers. Going forward, there is going to be a vote on this next week. It requires all teams to agree to the change. So let's hope that all the teams can agree. I think that will bring our league into being a bit more professional.
I'm going to contrast your opinion there, Sean, and say the complete opposite. My understanding of why they haven't done that in the past was from a professional standpoint, going the other way, in that a lot of our players work professionally. They got to go and work their own jobs outside of playing hockey. And I recall in the last couple of years hearing someone say that often it's listed as the team name and number and not the player's name, so that if an employer is doing a search on like Googling this person because maybe they've applied for a job, they're making sure that their name's not popping up showing that they're getting suspensions or penalties in the hockey in that regard. So I'll be interested to see what the result of the vote is. I know a lot of fans have said, why don't they just show the names? And, that is sort of a sidestep where these players aren't on their teams professionally as the only thing they do through the week. So, I don't know if you've ever heard of that being the reason, but that was something that came to mind when we were talking about it earlier today, is that, if one of them does apply for a job and it comes up on a search, is it going to impact their application?
Interesting point, Courtney. Eric, have you got any thoughts?
It is an interesting thought, and something that I hadn't necessarily thought of. Like, it's quite easy for a fan to, and you mentioned it earlier, Hayden Dawes, for instance, got a suspension, or Brian Funes, is that what we're calling him now? He wants to be referred to as a Spanish pronunciation of Funes. So, number 2, Newcastle North Stars. It's quite easy to go to the North Stars website or to go to the league website as a fan, elite prospect, whoever, and look up who exactly Brian Funes is. One example that I was going to draw was because these players aren't getting paid, and as Courtney said, they've all got jobs, etc. And in the day of the internet, you just plug in somebody's name and see what sort of history they've got for whatever it is. Whether it's their comments on social media as a person in the general world, LinkedIn. I was seeing some interesting things on LinkedIn relating to this league over the week. I didn't expect promotional videos from the league to be appearing in LinkedIn, but here we are. But the conclusion that I was going to draw, and then I remembered that it was a totally different world. Growing up watching rugby league in the 1980s, yes, I know, bring out the dinosaur graphic, I know, when the players didn't have jobs they didn't have full-time jobs playing rugby league. They had a job. They were a garbage collector, or they were a police officer, or they were a brickie or a tradie or whatever. But then again, back in the dinosaur era, when we both walked uphill in both directions to school, we didn't have the internet.
Yeah.
If you wanted to find out about somebody's job history, you looked at their resume. But now you can just type in somebody's name into Google. Oh, this bloke gets suspended every second week in hockey because he's a goon and can't control his temper. Do we want this person working for us? And I suppose that's where I don't know if that's the reason, but that could logically be the reason in this day and age.
I mean, a lot of people use sport as an example of how they can contribute to a team, how they build up those sort of interpersonal skills with other people. So, it could easily work against them. But, Steve in the comments makes a good point in, naming them in the, on the file could stop brain snaps. Like maybe they'll be a little bit more self-controlled, but sometimes that's not the case. So, it is very 50-50. It could go either way with all of the scenarios that we've mentioned. But
He also brings up a good point too. Easy enough to look up the team list and see names and numbers anyway. And I guess this is also a thing as well, because it is so easy to do. Why aren't you just putting the names in? Like, it's not like it's really protecting any players, but I guess the search thing is something which I didn't really consider myself. So,
if you go to Google and do a search for Brian Funes, it'll come up things with his name automatically that appear on the internet. So, it's hard to say if that particular page on the AIHL website would come up or if other content would come up first. But, I think it's been an interesting approach to not have that as obvious in that scenario.
Can I go off on a tangent? Sorry, go, Sean.
No, I was just going to say, Mark also makes the point. I would employ anyone who plays ice hockey. Essential criteria met.
What if your job's a security guard? What if your job's a security guard? You might want to get a big, tall defenseman like Darcy Flanagan to be your security guard.
Yeah, there's an advantage there.
Sorry, right. Sean, can I mention, speaking about looking people up who are hockey players, Eric Walker for the Brisbane Lightning, I did a search because I was trying to get his information for my team bio for the Lightning. Believe it or not, there were 5 players called Eric Walker who play hockey. 5, which was rather strange. So I thought you could have a very interesting game where you could have the 5 Eric Walkers on one line, their positions, who cares, but 5 Eric Walkers on one line. You could have 4 players on the ice called Kubara. One person who's not Kubara could be in the penalty box because they're not a Kubara. So that the ultimate form of PTSD for a commentator, 5 Eric Walkers against 4 Kubaras.
But it happens all the time in our league where we've got lots of, brothers and stuff playing on the same teams or on opposite teams. Happens a lot. We see lots of double.
I don't think, and I haven't gone in to search that hard, but I don't think the Eric Walkers are related. I actually asked the question of our Brisbane commentators, Lachlan Eels and Amy Hubble. Can you guys find out which Eric Walker this actually is, please?
That's fair. All right, I do want us to move on to the next topic that I wanted to talk about, and that was the Rhinos' big win after their big travel. So obviously Melbourne Saturday, Sunday back on the Central Coast at Arena. Big game, big win, their biggest win at home since they re-entered the AIHL. Absolutely. chalk and cheese days. I couldn't get over just how different Saturday and Sunday must have felt for that team. What did you get? Did you guys catch the games? What did you guys think of the Rhinos on the weekend?
I thought Sunday was phenomenal. The Lightning are no easy team, so to get up over them so well and look so solid, and then just kept peppering them with goals was just. I was excited because same with the Ice Dogs. They're both teams that sort of sit around the bottom of the table, and to see them come in and be competitive from the start, I'm thrilled. And while I have the airtime, I want to shout out to the half of the team that are hanging out with Anand Oberoi at the moment, watching our podcast. Hey guys, promise him a shout out. He messaged me and asked for one, so there you go. The only one I recognized in the video was Saxon, but there's a few of them there. Oh, and I think Scott as well.
Yeah.
Look, I'm thrilled for them. I'm absolutely thrilled for them.
Eric?
I'm just trying to look up the box score for that Sunday game, because we all know, and I don't have to whisper for the benefit of the Rhinos players, they've had some pretty bad times and some pretty high scores against them. But to see them on Saturday, regardless of who's in net at the other end, you still have to put shots on goal against whoever it is at the other end. It wasn't Jacob Dormers on this occasion. It was Dylan Dewar who was making his debut.
Yeah.
For the Lightning after playing several seasons in Perth as a backup goalie. When you think that the Rhinos got 48 shots on Saturday, you still have to get pucks on net to win a game. And I just want to give them a shout out in relation to the 48 shots, because they certainly know how it is to have 48 shots put on them and more. But they had
I think they only conceded like 30 odd shots, which, that's a really nice night for Oberoi.
Yeah.
32 shots on. 32 shots on. So that must have felt like a walk in the park for him in comparison.
Look, I mean, he's the man himself. Watched both Rhinos games. It was a pretty great Sunday.
That's the call of the year right now, and it's round 2.
But the two comments below that have got me chuckling, with Steve asking how many shots did Anand save, followed by Oberoi's answer.
On Saturday, at least 2 on Sunday. They are good. And we've also got Warren here. Rhinos have a history of playing better on Sundays, and I think that's probably true too. But
how noisy is that barn?
It actually equals their best result, like their best score since they returned to the AIHL. They did get a 7-1 win last year away in Newcastle, but at home. And what a turnaround. And they had, their players played so good. I am so impressed by Tanner Hamilton, who I had never heard of entering into this season. I saw that they signed him. He's an Aussie youngster. He's a dual citizen, played all his time in North America. So, but he looks an absolute find for the Rhinos. Very impressed. And, they played so well. Their imports played well. Their locals played well. You just could not get a better performance on Sunday. And they won. They deserve it. And they got a number of players who got their very first AIHL goals. So congrats to the Rhinos. I'm sure that they're absolutely stoked. That should give them a lot of confidence heading forward. And it's what you needed. After the Saturday game, they lost heavy to the Mustangs, who are, they're on paper they look really good this year, and they played really well in their opening game. But the Rhinos were able to turn it around, and that's the fighting spirit that they need. It's the kind of thing, I think they started last year and they had that kind of fighting spirit as well, but it kind of fell away towards the end. So it's really good to see them back. And, seeing players like Tyler Kabara and Bert Malloy out there again after their injuries last year is so good to see.
And they're just two incredible members of the leadership team that I think have had a solid impact on these players over the last couple of seasons, and a lot of that's starting to show. Like the strength of the way that the team played as a unit on Sunday, I think is reflective of the years of building they've just put in. And now, like, I think we've talked in the past about the Ice Dogs. Jason always had like a 3-year plan to build and get established and then get stronger. And that almost feels like where the Rhinos are at. They've had sort of 2 formative years, and this is the year to come out with a bang. And Sunday really did that.
Totally. And I just want to put out the graphic quickly. Largest home game. What a time to be alive. And I do want to touch on one final point here. It's a really silly point, but as anyone who would have seen the stats after the weekend, there was an unusual anomaly in Esports Desk and Elite Prospects, where for some strange reason, Julian Friedrich had 65,535 goals in one game. Man, that guy, he just could not stop scoring.
What sort of sound effect do you put behind that?
Quite something. I don't know how it occurred and what's happened since, but I do know that they did fix it. But now, rather than being 65,000 goals, he's now got -1 goals. I don't know how that works either.
I would hate to be that goalie.
Has anybody sent that screenshot to Julian Friedrich just in case he didn't catch it?
I'm sure someone probably has, and I can always send it if no one has, because I've got it. Because I was doing the I was doing my normal spreadsheets to work out what sort of upcoming milestones there are for this week. I'm looking at this going, what is going on?
The only other thing that would have even been funnier than that, if it wasn't Julian Friedrich, if it was Jeremy Friedrich, the backup goalie scoring 65,000 goals.
Yeah, that would have been quite funny too. So I think that's a good way to end on this. We do have a couple of comments. Brooke, who do you think will win Ice versus Lightning this weekend? Look, I think it's up in the air. What do you guys think?
I can't. It's week 2. I can't pick yet.
So
I
hard.
think what I hope is for a North Stars Ice, Perth, Canberra level kind of game where they're super competitive and very exciting.
Yeah, fair.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and some people may be thinking, "Oh, Ice just have to turn up and they win because that's what they always do, especially early on in the season." At the moment, I believe they've only got 1 import, and so I think Lightning will sweep. I could well be wrong, but I think with who the Lightning have got, Tanner Hops is a classic example. I got to see them at close range on Saturday at Macquarie against the Bears, where they lost 6-4. They have so much talent in that team. They've already got imports such as Tanner Hops. Batu Gendanov was at Worlds for Mongolia. So waiting for confirmation if he's actually going to play or not.
No,
if he plays, sorry, Sean.
Oh no, you mean this weekend, of course. Sorry
for this weekend.
Yeah.
But if he plays as well, along with Tanner Hops and the rest of the locals, compared to Ice that have got 1 import at this stage and 2 younger goalies, Tatsu Ishida isn't in net for anyone who hasn't caught up with that news. I am very confident in a Lightning sweep, especially at home at Boondall with 2 sold-out crowds for their home opener on Saturday and Sunday.
I love a good spicy prediction, and that's a good spicy prediction, Eric. I love it. Sweeps the Lightning. I'm sure all our Brisbane supporters will be absolutely loving it. I do want to end on Willie Krause's comment here. If the first week is anything to go by, then this season shaped up to be a cracker. Totally agree with that, Willie.
Sorry, Sean. Can I just say one thing on Willie's comment?
Right.
Willie's photo of me with the hat has absolutely blown up my social media world this week. I have had people who have not contacted me in some cases for over 15 years Having said that, I don't post content on Facebook to say, hey, look at me, I'm going to be at the North Stars game tomorrow and I'm going to be doing the Bears North Stars game on Sunday. I don't do that on Facebook. I use Facebook for hockey, work, and communication on Messenger. But with this hat photo, and you probably haven't got the graphic there, Sean, of the one I'm talking about, it has absolutely exploded. All of these people, hockey people, non-hockey people, non-hockey people who don't even know what the hat is, and the
jersey,
and the jersey. People saying, hey, dude, where have you been for the last 15 years? What have you been doing? I've been here the whole time. It's just that I haven't posted statuses, and I have posted on some people's comments. But, it was just,
there we go.
So good to see you. Thanks, Court. This one. This one.
That's so
this
good.
one actually, and I think, Courtney, you'll know where that is. The Newcastle Basketball Stadium, and it's weird. The Newcastle Jets were actually the first team in Newcastle, apart from the North Stars and apart from the NRLW team, to actually win something.
Very nice.
Hang on, Courtney's going to get her hat on.
Oh, very nice. Yep, the Jets. They're the premiers, right?
Yep, the best part. Look, we're diverging away from hockey, but the best part about the Jets winning the premiers is it was the Central Coast Mariners winning their game against Auckland that secured it for us, and we get to lift the plate in front of them. pretty hilarious.
Rubbing it into them, yeah, into your big rival. Anyway,
the Rhinos players watching probably don't even know who the Mariners are, so go Rhinos.
Anyway, very quickly, guys, who's going to win tonight? Ice Dogs versus
Adrenaline.
Adelaide. Eric?
Doggies.
Courtney?
They're at home. They haven't had the travel, and they had a really good hit out, and they only played one game last weekend on a Friday night, second Friday night in a row for them. Big crowd, AIHL.tv very shortly, if you're watching live.
I am such a big fan of the Quisler family, and I'm so sorry if you're watching this, and they're probably not because they'll be at the game, but I am going to pick an Adelaide win. I think Adelaide's just charged up and ready, and I'm about to put it on my TV and watch it, and I think Adelaide might have this.
That's good. I love that. A bit of love for both teams. I love it. All right, I'm gonna quickly go Ice Dogs in a shootout, because we're going to have more shootouts, guys, more OTs. Absolutely love it. All right, everyone. We'll get off now. It's only 10 minutes now to game puck down to the game. So thanks for joining us this week. If you've got any questions or suggestions that you want to see us cover next week, just drop us a line on our socials, and we'll be happy to take up some topics. That would be great. And otherwise, thanks for joining, and we'll see you next week, 6 p.m. Friday. See you all.